Okay, this lecture here is all about the nature of the ligand affecting the stability of the metal complexes. So we know that the stability actually depends upon two main factors. The first one is the metal ion and the second one of course is the ligand, right? So you can see here this is the general 3D structure of any metal complex. The metal ion is present here at the center and it is surrounded by these 6 ligands here, and of course these will be two important factors which will be deciding the stability of any metal complex, right? So I will be devoting this whole lecture here towards the ligands, towards the nature of the ligands, and we will see here that how the ligands will be affecting the stability of any metal complex. And moreover, I want to give you an overview here that what different points will be there regarding the nature of the ligand. The first one, as you can see here, is the charge. Whatever charge will be there on the ligands. The second one is, of course, the size of the ligands, followed by what type of basic strength these ligands will be having and how they will be affecting the stability. And after that, we will also talk about the presence of different kinds of ring structures in the ligands, and we will see that how they will be helping in the stability of any metal complex. And at last but not the least, the steric type of effects also plays an important role deciding the stability of any metal complex. Okay, so to start with, we can say here that the charge on the ligand divided by the atomic or the ionic radii of the ligand is known as the charge density, right? So it will be the very first point to discuss here, that is the charge density, which will be including both the size as well as the charge of the ligand, right? So we can say here that if the charge on the ligand is higher, what will happen is greater will be the forces of attraction between the metal ion as well as the ligand, right? And moreover, if the size of the ligand is small, what will happen is that the ligand of course can go more close to the metal ion, or we can say that the approach of the ligand to the metal ion will be more close, right? And of course, because the numerator here is higher, you can see here it is higher in magnitude, and the denominator, I mean size, we are saying that it should be smaller. So the denominator here is smaller. So overall result here will be what? It will be high, right? So whatever we are saying here that the charge should be higher and the size should be smaller, ultimately it will give rise to a very high type of charge density, right? And now let us have a look on these two things here. Means whatever this high charge and small size will be doing and will be helping in the stability of any metal complex. Okay, so you can see here that the combination of this factor here, I mean the greater charge and the smaller size, will result in what? Obviously it will be resulting in the formation of stronger type of bonds between the metal ion as well as the ligand, right? And because the bonds are stronger, we can say that whatever complex will be formed there, it will be a stable type of complex, right? So in nutshell, we can say here that higher the charge density, because of the higher charge and smaller size, that will lead to what? That will lead to the formation of a stable type of complex, right? So we do have some experimental type of results here. What I want to show you here is that, let us say this yellow sphere is what? It is the Fe3 positive ions, and the blue sphere is representing the fluoride as the ligand, and this red sphere here is representing the chloride ions, right? So we have actually the same metal ion, and we are having two different ligands here. The first one is the fluoride ion, which is a smaller ligand, and the second one is the chloride ion, which is a larger ligand in size, right? And as I have told you that there are present the van der Waal radii of any atom, and we have discussed this thing in our previous video lecture, that every atom has its own van der Waal radii, and two atoms can come close enough to each other for the formation of some bond, but the overlapping of their van der Waal radii will never be taking place, right? So there is present a certain limit, we can say, up to which the two atoms can come close to each other, right? So that can be imagined in the form of the van der Waal radii. So here you can see that this is the Fe3 positive, our metal ion, and let us say this yellow circle here is the van der Waal radius of this Fe3 positive ion, and same is the case here, right? And on this side you can see here that this is the van der Waal radii of the fluoride ion, and here is the van der Waal radii of the chloride ion. And now because it is larger in size, obviously the van der Waal radius will also be larger here, right? Such that you can see that if the metal ion is same here, you can see in this picture, the metal ion is same. And if the fluoride ion is forming a bond with this metal and then chloride is forming a bond with this metal, you can see here that the charge density on the fluoride ion will be higher, because we know that the charge density is given by charge over size. So charge is what it is -1 here, which you can see from here, and because it is having a small size as compared to the chloride ion, in which also the charge is -1 but the size is quite large. So what will happen is, numerically talking, in this case, the ratio of charge oblique size, I mean the charge density, will be higher, right? On the other hand, in this case, the ratio of this charge oblique size, I mean the charge density, will be lower here, right? So we have just seen that higher charge density leads to the formation of stable complexes. So what will happen here is, in this case, because the smaller fluoride ion can approach more close to our metal ion, it will result in the formation of a smaller bond, right? Now the smaller bond here will be a stronger bond, resulting in the formation of a more stable complex here, and that is also represented by the high value of the log beta. That is our overall stability constant. On the other hand, in this case, because of the large size of the chloride ion, it won't be going very close to the metal ion. Thus, the bonding here will be like what? It will be a relatively longer bond here, which will be relatively less strong, right? So the overall complex formed here in between the metal ion and the chloride ion, that will be what? That will be less stable, and it is also represented, and it is also experimentally proved from the values of logarithm of beta, that is the overall stability constant. And you can very well compare this value here, I mean 1.3, with this value, which is 6.0 here, right? So without any doubt here, we can say that the complex in which the ligand is having a high charge density, or let's say higher charge and smaller size, that will be resulting in the formation of small bonds which will be stronger, and the overall complex formed will be more stable. And we can also confirm these things with the help of the logarithm of beta value. And now let's have a look on the second factor, that is the basic strength of the ligands. But before that, let me remind you that how the formation of a bond takes place in between the metal ion and the ligand. What happens is that the ligand, because it acts as the Lewis base, it contains excess of electrons, and those electrons are being donated from the filled orbitals of the ligand towards the empty orbitals of the metal ion, resulting in the formation of a coordinate covalent bond. And it is all happening because of this type of electron donation from the ligand, right? So that now we can say here that greater will be the ease of donation, I mean the easiness of the donation of electrons from the ligand, higher will be the basic strength of that ligand, right? Because more easily any ligand can donate its electron, obviously high will be its basic strength, because they are a type of a Lewis basis. Okay, so a good or a strong Lewis base is what? That can give its electrons quite easily. So that is why greater is the ease of donation, higher will be the basic strength, and of course stronger will be the bonds there, right? And thus we can say here that the more stable will be the complex formed. So we can say here that the basic strength of the ligand should be high in order to form more stable type of complexes, right? So we can even see here that if we are comparing the three different ligands here, in which the first ligand is what it is, the cyano ligand, it is the Cn negative ligand, in which the donor atom is what it is, this carbon atom here, right? And if you look here, this is the second ligand, which is the ammonia, ligand, in which the donor atom is what it is, this nitrogen atom. And finally we have this water molecule as the ligand. Let me write here water as ligand, which is containing what, this oxygen atom as the donor atom, right? So now if we compare their donation abilities, we can say that it will be based upon their electronegativities, right? And we know that in case of oxygen, it is having high electronegativity, so of course it will be having a least type of donation towards the metal ion, okay? And the nitrogen here will be having a moderate type of electronegativity, so it will be having a moderate type of donation. On the other hand, the carbon, because we all know that it is less electronegative, so in this case the donation will be very easy, right? So ultimately we can say here that in that case, in that ligand in which the carbon is there as the donor atom, the basic strength will be very high because it can easily give its electrons, it can easily act as a Lewis pace, right? So because of this high basic strength, it will be forming complexes which will be very, very stable, right? On the other hand, the water containing oxygen as the donor atom, which is highly electronegative and shows least type of donation, it will be having very low basic strength, and thus whatever bonds will be formed here, that will be less strong. And finally the complex will also be less stable when we will be using water as the ligand, right? And ammonia, in which the nitrogen is there, which is moderately electronegative, obviously it will be having a moderate type of basic strength, and it will be forming relatively stable complexes as compared to that of the water, but less stable complexes as compared to that of the cyano ligand. And here is the third factor, that is the presence of the ring type of structures in the ligand molecules, right? So you can see here I have compared two different square planar metal complexes of platinum, in which on this side, this complex here is not having any type of ring structure. It is our regular platinum complex, which is having a square planar geometry, as you can see here, and it is having, or it is bonded to 4 different ammonia as the ligands, which are not forming any type of ring structure in this complex here, right? On the other hand, if you look here, in addition to these ammonia ligands, the first one is here, this is the first molecule of the ligand, and here is the second molecule of the ligand. We do have a third molecule of the ligand, which you can see here. This is the third molecule of the ligand, which is actually a bidentate type of ligand, means it contains 2 donor atoms, right? Here is the first donor atom, it is this oxygen atom, and here is the second oxygen, which is acting as the second donor atom, right? So now what happens is that because of this bidentate ligand containing 2 donor atoms and both donating electron for the formation of a coordinate bond with this platinum, overall it will result in the formation of a ring type of structure here, which is easily visible in this geometry here. It is this ring structure here we are talking about, right? So this ligand here, because it is bidentate, it will be forming a ring type of structure here in the overall structure of the complex. So now what will happen is that we will see very soon that such kind of structure, such kind of complexes in which the ligands results in the formation of the ring type of structures, they are more stable as compared to the normal type of complexes, right? So we can say here that This all is happening because of three different factors. The first one is known as the chelate effect, and the second one is the number of the chelate rings present in the overall structure of the complex. And finally, we will also be talking about the size of these chelate rings formed because of the presence of chelating type of ligands, right? So we will be talking about all these factors here in the third important factor, that is the presence of the ring structures in case of ligands, right? So let us first of all start with the chelate effect. And you can read from here that the complexes which are formed from the chelating type of ligands, which are actually multidentate in nature, such as ethylene, diamine, the structure you can see here. Let me draw here on this side. Because of ethylene, we will be showing here two carbon atoms in this way. This is the structure of En, or the ethylene diamine. So this is the ethylene part, and where is the diamine? This is the first amine here, I mean NH2, and this is the second amine molecule, that is the NH2, right? So this is actually a bidentate type of ligand, a bidentate type of ligand, because it contains two donor atoms. This is the first nitrogen, which will be acting as the donor atom. It will be donating electrons to the central metal ion, and here is the second donor atom, the second nitrogen I mean, which will also be donating electrons, resulting in the formation of the second coordinate bond with the metal ion, right? So once again, let us read from here that the complexes which are formed by such kind of chelating ligands, they are more stable, right, as compared to those complexes which are formed from the monodentate or the usual type of ligand, such as water, ammonia, or the cyanide, right? So you can see here, this is a regular type of complex molecule in which the central metal is attached to four ammonia molecules which are monodentate in nature. This is the first one here, this is the second ammonia, third, and here is the fourth ammonia molecule, and each ammonia molecule contain a single nitrogen which is acting as the donor atom, and that is resulting in the formation of these four covalent coordinate bonds here, right? On the other hand, if you look here onto this side, what we are having is a bidentate type of ligand. It is that same ene or the ethylene diamine type of ligand which we have just discussed here. So because it contains two donor atom, two nitrogen atom, which will be donating electrons to form two coordinate bonds with the metal ion in this way, and here you can see it is the second molecule of the ethylene diamine, our second ligand. It will also be forming two coordinate bonds with the metal ion because of the help of these two nitrogen atoms in this way here, right? So you can see here it contains two donor atoms. This is the first molecule of ethylene diamine, our ligand, and here is the second molecule of ethylene diamine, the second ligand, which is also containing two donor atoms, right? And if we go by this saying here, it says that the complexes which are formed by such kind of chelating ligands, they are actually more stable as compared to that of the normal type of complexes, right? And this type of enhanced stability of such complexes containing the chelating type of ligands is known as the chelate effect, right? So now let us try to find out the reasons behind this chelate effect, because of which the complexes are having additional type of stability. Okay, so you can see here on your screen, the first reaction is what it is with the nickel as the metal ion. The conditions are aqueous, you can see here, and in the first reaction we are adding 6 ammonia molecules, the usual monodentate type of ligands, resulting in the formation of this type of hexaamino nickel complex, which is also present in the aqueous solution, right? And here is the logarithm beta values for this reaction. The second reaction is what it is the same metal ion, I means the nickel, in the same oxidation state, that is +2, and the conditions are exactly same, means the aqueous conditions. But in this case, we are just adding 3 molecules of ethylene diamine, because we know here that ethylene diamine is actually a bidentate type of ligand. So whatever 6 bonds these 6 ammonia molecules will be forming with the nickel, those 6 bonds will be formed here with the help of only 3 molecules of ethylene diamine, right? Because each molecule of En here will be containing 2 donor atoms, which will be forming 2 bonds with the nickel atom, right? So here it is forming this type of complex here, that is the tri-En and the nickel complex, which is showing a logarithm of beta value that is equal to 18.28, right? And you can guess from here, from this reaction and this reaction, that in the second complex formation, where we have some kind of bidentate ligand, and the overall complex here is having the chelate type of rings in their structure, it is actually more stable as proved from these logarithm beta values, because it is a higher value, that is 18.28, as compared to this value, which is 8.61, right? So let us now try to explain the reason behind this thing. So you can see here that here is present my nickel 2 positive metal. I mean this thing, this is present here at the center. And because the conditions are aqueous here, as you can see here, so I have shown here some water molecules representing the aqueous type of environment, right? And one more thing I want to add here is that the nickel 2 positive metal ion will be present in the form of a solvated sphere. Now, what is meant by this type of solvation sphere? Actually, the central metal ion contains a positive charge, and we all know that the water is what it is: oxygen, one hydrogen, and the second hydrogen. And this oxygen here is having a partial negative charge. It is some type of dipole here in this water molecule. So the different water molecules in the reaction will arrange or orient themselves in such a way that the oxygen having the partial negative charge will be directed towards the central metal ion, because that is having a positive charge, right? So some kind of interaction will be there in between the positive charge of the metal and the partial negative charges which are present on the oxygen, more electronegative present in case of water, and it will result in the formation of a sphere in this way, that is known as the solvation sphere, which I have written here, right? So here you can see that the nickel 2 positive metal ion is present at the center, and it is surrounded by these water molecules, the first one here, second one, and like this various water molecules are present here around the central metal ion because of the opposite charges type of interactions here, right? So this is present in the form of a solvation sphere. And now let us talk about our reaction. Now what will happen is that when we will be adding the 6 molecules of ammonia, which you can see here, the 6 ammonia molecules are lying here, and I have represented them by white type of spheres. What will happen is that these 6 ammonia molecules will be replacing all these 6 water molecules which are present around the central metal ion, that is nickel in this case, right? So you can see here the reaction is taking place. The other water molecules are present in the same way as they were present earlier, but now after the reaction, what has happened here is that the nickel 2 positive has now resulted in the formation of 6 bonds with the 6 ammonia molecules, which you can see here, and this is what it is representing: my nickel NH3 6 2 positive complex. I mean this complex here, right? And once again, because the conditions are aqueous here, so you can see here a lot of water molecules here as well as here, right? The important thing here is what, that these 6 ammonia molecules are replacing these 6 water molecules, such that these are coming here. I mean, they are forming bonds now with the metal ion, and these 6 water molecules are going in place of the ammonia ligands, which you can see here, right? So these 6 water molecules, which were initially present in the form of a solvation sphere, they have now been replaced by 6 ammonia molecules, resulting in the formation of this complex. I mean this one here, right? And what is there in the second reaction? The same aqueous conditions are there. You can see the water molecules as well as a similar type of solvation sphere is also present. But now in this case, as compared to the 6 ammonia molecules, we are having 3 molecules of the ligand En or the ethylene diamine, which you can see here, right? So I am showing these purple type of entities as our 3 ene molecules or the ligand molecules. So in the same way, this reaction will take place in this direction, resulting in the formation of a metal complex, which will be nickel bracket En, which will be 3 in number, and the overall charge is 2 positive, which you can see from here. And because the conditions are still aqueous, you can see here the water molecules present here as well as here, right? And because the En ligand are bidentate in nature, so each En ligand can form 2 bonds with the central metal ion, which we can show here in this way. The first bond, second bond, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth here, right? So this complex here is this one here, which I have shown by this diagrammatic representation. Now, what is happening here is that these 3 molecules of the ethylene diamine, they are actually forming a complex with the nickel, which is present here initially at the center of the solvation sphere, and they are replacing these 6 molecules of water, and they are now going to this place here, which you can see in this picture, that the 3 molecules of the En is forming this type of complex here, and the 6 molecules of water, which were initially present surrounding the metal ion in the form of a solvation sphere, they will now go towards this side. I want to remind you here that we are talking about the reason behind the chelate effect. We want to know the exact reason that why the presence of a chelate type of rings in the complex results in extra type of stabilization, right? And for that, I have taken these 2 examples. The first example is with a regular type of monodentate ligand, and the second example is what with some bidentate type of ligand resulting in the formation of a chelate type of structure here, right? And now, please watch carefully here that I will be erasing everything else except the independent molecules present in these 2 reactions. I repeat, I am now going to erase everything else except the independent molecules present in these 2 reactions, such that we will be having a picture something like this here. Okay, so you can see here that these are the independent molecules before the reaction, and these are the independent molecules after the reaction has been taken place in the first reaction, of course. Okay, and as far as the second reaction is concerned, these were the independent molecules before the reaction, and these are the independent molecules after the reaction has taken place, right? So if you count now these number of independent molecules which were causing randomness in the system, you will see here that in this case 8 plus 6 gives 14 molecules, and in this case after the reaction once again 8 plus 6, which is also giving number 14 here. Okay, so this was the case of the first reaction, and now let us talk about the second reaction here, in which initially before the reaction we were having 8 plus 3, I mean 11 random molecules, and after the reaction has been completed we are having what? We are having 8 plus 6, which gives a number of 14 here, right? So what is happening here, by the way, that in the first reaction the number of the random molecule remains same here, right? But in the second case, the number of random molecules which were causing randomness, or let us say which were responsible for the entropy in this reaction, they are increasing from 11 to 14 here, right? So what I am trying to convey here is that in the second reaction, where we are having the chelate type of ligands, there will be present an increase in the entropy of the system, as is very clear from this type of diagram. Initially, where before the start of the reaction 11 random molecules were there going here and there causing entropy or the randomness in the system, but after the reaction what will happen is that they will increase from 11 to 14 here, and it is this increase in entropy here that is responsible for the chelate effect. Okay, so finally we can say here that the increase in entropy is actually responsible for the chelate effect, and this is the reason why whenever we will be having the chelate type of ligands which can have ring type of structures in the final complex structure, that will be causing higher stability of that particular metal complex. And now let us see that what will be the effect of the number of the chelate rings on the stability of the complex. So you can read from here, the first line says that the larger the larger the number of the chelate rings, greater will be the stability of the complex. Okay, we have just seen that how the chelation gives extra stability to the complex, and we can link that thing to the increase in the entropy, right? And the second point is what, that the number of the chelate rings also affects the stability of the complex. And for that, you can compare the three complexes here of the copper metal ion. The first one here is with the ammonia ligand, and the second one is of course with the ethylene diamine, and the last one here is with what, it is the triethylene tetramine type of ligand, right? So in the first complex, you will see that four different ligands are present, I mean the four ammonia molecules. And in the second case, only two EN ligands are sufficient for the formation of four bonds with the metal ion. And the last complex is what, it is with the triene type of ligand. The structure is something like this here. And in this case, only one ligand is sufficient for the formation of four bonds with the central metal ion, right? And here you can see that this is the structure of the first complex, the second one, and the third one here, right? And from this structure here, you can count that it contains 0 chelate ring. On the other hand, the second structure, it contains the first chelate ring here, and there is present the second chelate ring. So you can see here I have written 2 chelate rings are present here, right? On the other hand, in the final structure where triene is acting as the ligand, you will see that it is resulting in the formation of 1, 2, and then the third chelate ring here, right? So you can see here in this structure, we are having 3 chelate rings, okay? And now, if you have a look on the log beta values, you will see here that in this case, the log beta value is what, it is 12.6. And as we move from here to here, the log beta value increases to 20. And finally, in this case, the log beta value further increases to 0.5, and it results in the value of 20.5 here, right? So we will say that as we are moving from this complex to this complex here, as the number of chelate rings are increasing, so the stability of the complex is also increasing, right? So once again, we will say that larger the number of the chelate rings in this structure, greater will be the stability of the complex, right? And I want to show you here that this is a single ligand here. I mean, this is a single ligand here. And the name is what it is? It is triethylene tetramine, right? It is triethylene tetramine type of ligand. So let me show you that why we have this type of name here. You can see there, you can see here that it is having the first ethylene molecule, then the second one here, and here is present the third ethylene molecule, right? So that is why we are calling it as a triethylene, and after that it is also having first amine molecule, second one here, third one here, and the fourth one is present like this, right? So we used to call it as triethylene tetra because it contains 4 amine molecules, so it will be a tetraamine type of ligand, and the short form is what it is, TRIEN, right? So because it is resulting in the formation of 3 chelate rings, so it is extremely stable type of complex as compared to this one here as well as this one here, right? And we can also say here that a similar type of reasoning is present here, that in the last case in which the triene is present as the ligand, more increase in the entropy will be there after the reaction has taken place, right? So this is all about the number of the chelate rings. And now we are left with the last point here regarding the presence of ring type of structures in case of ligands. And it is about what? It is about the size of the chelate ring, right? Now normally we have seen that the 5-membered ring structures are very, very stable. But if we are having a 6-membered structure, they are slightly less stable, okay? But there is one condition in which the 6-membered rings becomes highly stable. Now what is that condition? If you will read from here that if a 6-membered structure contain unsaturation or double bonds, it will be more stable as compared to that of a 5-membered ring chelate structure, right? So I have shown here two different complexes. The first one is what, in which the ethylene diamine is present as the ligand, and the two amine molecules are donating electrons, resulting in the formation of two coordinate bonds here, the first one, the second one. And here is present the second molecule of the ligand, that is the ethylene diamine. And even in this case, the two nitrogen atoms are giving their electron, resulting in the formation of the third as well as the fourth bond here, right? So basically you can see here that it is a 5-membered ring structure. If we go like this, I mean the first atom, then is the second atom here, third, fourth, and the fifth atom, right? And in this case, this is the second complex in which we are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 6-membered chelate type of ring structure. But in this case, you can see here very clearly that unsaturation is present here in this type of ring structure. We are having two double bonds here. The first one is present here and the second one is present on this side. So now what can happen here is that the lone pairs which are present on the oxygen atom, they can show resonance in this way. I mean, they can shift here in between the carbon and the oxygen, sending these electrons onto this side, and then finally the pi electrons of this carbonyl onto the oxygen atom in this way, right? Such that whatever bonds will be there, I mean this oxygen and this carbon here, it will not be acting as a single bond. It will be having a partial double bond character. In the same way, this carbon-carbon double bond will now also be having a partial double bond character. And same is the case with this bond here as well as this bond, such that we can say here that starting from this oxygen atom and going to this carbon, then to this one, and finally to this and this oxygen, every bond here will be having same bond length, right? So we will say here that the 6-membered chelates, although they are less stable as compared to that of the 5-membered chelate structures, but if the unsaturation is present in the 6-membered structure such that the resonance can lead to the formation of same type of or the same bonds here which are having same bond lengths. So we will say that because the carbon-carbon and the carbon-oxygen bonds are exactly equal in length and they are symmetrical corresponding to this metal atom, so it will be forming a more stable type of structure. This will be more stable type of complex as compared to this one here, in which the carbon and the carbon bond length is different from that of this carbon and nitrogen bond length, and because we are not having any kind of resonance here, right? So although the 5-membered structures are more stable and the 6-membered chelates are less stable, but provided if there are present double bonds or some kind of unsaturation in the 6-membered chelate structures, that will be doing what? That will be leading to the formation of equal type of bond lengths because of resonance phenomena, such that the chelate ring formed will be having equal bonds in terms of bond length, and that will be a symmetrical type of structure leading to the formation of a more stable type of complex, right? So I will finally say here that this complex here onto my right side, in which although a 6-membered structure is present, but because of this unsaturation and resonance and equal bond lengths here, this is more stable as compared to this 5-membered ring structure. And let me tell you here that there is also a possibility of rings having size greater than 6, but those are less stable as compared to that of the 5 and 6-membered structures, right? And now we are left with the last point about the nature of the ligands. It is what? It is the steric effects of the ligands. And if you start reading from here, the ligands containing bulky groups, they form less stable complexes, right? So now what happens is that if the bulky groups are present near to the donor atom, they will cause mutual repulsions with the other ligands which are present in the same complex. And by this, what will happen is that the metal and the ligand bonds will become quite weak, and this will be reducing the stability of the complex, right? So you can see here we have two different complexes. The first one is, this is having the ethylene ethylene diamine as the ligand here. This is the first molecule, and here is present the second molecule of the ethylene diamine, I mean the En as the ligand, and it is containing two nitrogen atoms. The first one is present here, and here is the second one forming two coordinate bonds here. In the same way, the second molecule of En is also having two nitrogen atoms, both forming two coordinate bond, the first one here and the second one here, right? So now if you look here, that this is the first ligand here and this is the second ligand here, and here is the donor atom, right? And now because adjacent to this donor atom there are present small groups here, I mean two hydrogen atoms, and even on this side two hydrogen atoms which are smaller in size, so there will be present less repulsions here between the ligands, and whatever bonds are formed here in between the ligand and the metal ion, they will be stronger and they will be more stable, such that this complex here will be more stable as compared to the second structure, in which you can see that the hydrogens has been replaced by the methyl groups, right? So you can see here this hydrogen has been replaced by this methyl group, and even this hydrogen atom here has been replaced by another methyl group here, right? In the same way, all the hydrogen atoms which were initially bonded to the nitrogen, I mean the donor atom of the ethylene diamine, they has been replaced by the methyl groups, right? So now what will happen is that when the bond formation will take place in between the ligand donor atoms and the metal ion, these bulky groups here which are present on the ligand or which are present on the ligand donor atom, they will be present very close to each other, right? You can very well see from this structure here, they will be present very close to each other, such that high repulsions will be there in between the ligands, which will be affecting the bond strength here, I mean this bond here as well as this bond here. And because both the ligands will be repelling each other, so they will go to a bit higher distance as compared to this complex here in which we are having the hydrogen atoms. So what will happen is the bond length in between the nitrogen and the metal atom will become a little longer. That will be doing what? That will be reducing the strength of the bond, and as such the complex will become less stable here, which you can see in this case, right? So we have seen in this lecture that the nature of the ligand have a marked effect on the stability of the complex, and we have seen that how the charge, the size, as well as the basic strength followed by the ring structures in the ligands, and finally the steric effects of the ligands affects the stability of the complex. So this is all about this lecture here. Thank you so much.